This is the Lenovo Ideapad Gaming 3, and this is the laptop I've been using for the past 2 or 3 years now for all my gaming, all my video editing, all my office work, and these are my thoughts on it. So when I got this laptop new, I got it open box on eBay for around $700 to $750. I believe new they were going for around $800 to $900, so definitely a budget gaming laptop, and you can definitely feel that in the build quality. The whole laptop is made out of plastic. The lid, the keyboard, the trackpad, the bottom of the laptop, it's all plastic. That being said, it is a quality plastic. It's not like cheap and flimsy. The chassis is very sturdy. This display has some bend in it, but overall, the whole chassis of the laptop feels really good. So this laptop is definitely on a little bit of the heavier side. It's coming in at almost 5 pounds, and it's not too bad, but you can definitely feel it, and you will feel that weight in your backpack as well. So, you know, just a thing to keep in mind there. As far as specs go, real quick clarification. Stock, this laptop comes with single channel 8GB stick of RAM DDR4 and also a 500GB NVMe SSD. I personally upgraded to 16GB dual channel, and I added a 1TB SSD as well on top of the NVMe. So a nice thing about this laptop is upgradability for sure, but if you are looking for more performance, you're definitely going to want to upgrade to dual channel. And 16GB if you can. 16GB is unfortunately the max this motherboard and this laptop will allow. So as far as specs, like I said, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck here. So what you're getting for the GPU is an RTX 3050 4GB. 4GB of VRAM is a little low for modern games. You can very, very easily hit that limit, especially in Call of Duty. I like to play a lot of Call of Duty Cold War. I also like a lot of simulators like BeamNG Drive, American Truck Simulator, Farming Simulator, and you can definitely very easily max out that 4GB of VRAM. That being said, this GPU does perform pretty darn well. I have never had a game it couldn't handle on medium to high settings. BeamNG Drive is a very hard game to run, and I have this not quite cranked, but I have it at high settings, and it gets really good FPS. Call of Duty Cold War, I have medium to high settings, and I'm easily hitting definitely over 60s to 80s as far as FPS. The CPU in this laptop is an Intel Core i5-11300H, which is a 4-core, 8-thread CPU. It's a 3.1 gigahertz base clock and a 4.4 gigahertz turbo clock. So, decent little CPU for sure. Very power efficient, I've found. When you're not playing games and you're doing light work and stuff, it's actually pretty decent. Again, not a lot of cores or threads, only 4 cores, 8 threads. Again, budget laptop. I haven't really seen a situation where I've needed a ton of extra cores. Except maybe for video editing and rendering and things like that. But other than that, it's not a sluggish CPU, and it feels really fast and snappy and nice. And I mean, I would love a higher performance CPU for sure, but this one definitely gets the job done. As far as the display goes, it looks really, really nice. It is a 1080p 120Hz display, so nice high refresh rate. A lot of older budget gaming laptops, like I started out with an Acer Nitro 5 with a GTX 1050 Ti, and that one only had a 60Hz display. And a lot of budget gaming laptops back in the day had a 60Hz display, so I'm really excited to see that modern budget gaming laptops are getting at least 120Hz. It's a lot better than 60, especially if you're playing a lot of esports or shooter games and things like that. Another very important aspect of a laptop is a battery, and this battery sucks. I have not gotten good battery life out of this thing. When I'm watching YouTube videos or searching around on Google, sure, I can get a couple of hours on a full charge. When I'm gaming, you might get 40 to 60 minutes of battery life, which is really disappointing because it's a 45 watt-hour battery. Lenovo claims you'll get 5 hours of battery life out of it. and that is just straight up not true. I have never gotten anywhere close to 5 hours of battery life, even with the laptop just sitting idle. It might last 2 hours max on just sitting on a desktop or doing some light browsing or something like that. Not a great battery. And to charge that battery, Lenovo includes a 135 watt charger, and it's not enough for this laptop. I gotta be honest. It's weird when I'm playing, especially like heavy gaming, like simulators such as BeamNG Drive or Farming Simulator. Even with the laptop plugged in, I'll notice the battery drain to a certain point, and then it'll try to hold it there basically. And it almost seems like the charger just can't quite feed enough power to this laptop, which is really, really weird. And the whole battery situation with this laptop is just not great. Now, one great thing I really do like about this laptop is the keyboard and trackpad. Now, the keyboard does have backlighting. You can do the function and then the space bar, and you have 2 levels of white to choose from. The second level isn't much brighter than the first one, so, you know, so basically you get 3 settings: off, low, and high. It's a little bit brighter, but not much. But it does look nice when it is on its backlight is on. It's nice and bright. You can easily see all of the keys, and it looks really great. The typing experience on this keyboard is also very nice. The keys feel nice and solid and firm. They don't really rock back and forth or anything like that. Yeah, it's just a nice feeling, average laptop keyboard, I guess. Nothing really special about it, but it does feel nice. The trackpad here is a plastic topped trackpad, so not my favorite. I do prefer glass top trackpads. They just feel so nice. But this one does feel good. It tracks very well. You have all your functions. You can, you know, use 3 fingers, or you can assign different things to the trackpad. And it also clicks fairly nice. It has a pretty deep click, but it's not bad, and it is very responsive, which is very nice. This is something I really like that Lenovo does. Obviously, this camera has a webcam right here, and it has a little cover over it, so, you know, no one can spy on you when you're using your laptop, and you can just slide it open, camera's on, you can slide it shut, camera turns off. A nice thing about this is it's not only a cover, but it actually disconnects the camera. You can see here that the camera is physically turned off, and you open it, and there it is. As far as the camera goes, this is the quality. It's 720p, and it does have a microphone right next to it. I've personally never actually used this camera or the microphone on this laptop. I just never, I always use my phone as like a webcam or something, because this just kind of looks grainy and fuzzy, and I'm not a huge fan of it. But this is what it looks like if you do use it. Yeah, it's not the greatest. It's got nice lighting. Nice bright lighting. You can easily see my face, but I'm just not a huge fan of the low quality. But I will say it's good for a budget gaming laptop. For spending $700, it's perfectly fine for that. Alright, so I'm starting off with a lighter game, Minecraft right now, and I have the settings pretty much maxed out. I'm at about 12 chunks on the render distance, but everything else is pretty much maxed out. So right now, if I go in here, we're getting around 190, mid to hundreds to high hundreds there. It drops down a little bit when we're flying for sure. It's got a lot of load, a lot more in here. Yeah, they're hit like 58, but still definitely like solid FPS range here. I'm going to go in here and I'm just gonna crank the render distance. Why not? Let's see what that does. Yeah, she did not like that. We dropped down to 60. Oof. Yeah, that's dropping hard. So I am in Splitgate right now, and I've got the settings absolutely cranked all the way to max, and full epic settings, 1920 by 1080p. Just kind of wanted to see how the PC would perform in some FPS titles. Honestly, absolutely cranked like this. We're only getting like high 50s as far as frame rate on this map. I've noticed when playing this game, it heavily depends on the type of map you are on. some less detailed maps will have much better FPS, like all the way up to 120 FPS, which is great, which utilizes the full refresh rate of this display. But some more detailed and harder to render maps are going to be more in that like upper 50s, 60, 70 FPS kind of range. This is a pretty large map, so it's a little bit lower FPS. So I guess that's one downside of this laptop. I have noticed quite a few inconsistencies, I would say, in performance. It completely depends on not necessarily the game, but the content in the game, I suppose. So yeah, it's kind of performance can vary depending on what game you're playing for sure, and the content and types of maps that are being rendered. As you can see, we're in a hallway now, and so the FPS shot up to the 80s there, and getting a little bit better now, and kind of drops back down a little bit once we go outside here. So yeah, performance definitely can vary depending on the map for sure. Alright, I am in Forza Horizon 5, which is a little bit more of a demanding game, I would say, especially for a budget laptop. We've got everything set to high and some medium settings, as well as a medium ray tracing as well. So we're going to see how this performs. So far, it's looking like we are sitting around 50 FPS, which, honestly, the RTX 3050 is obviously not the greatest ray tracing card. It definitely struggles with it a lot more than most RTX cards, being only a 4 GB variant of it, but it's doing it here pretty decently. Obviously only medium, but yeah, it's so far not too bad. It feels really good. Obviously in a racing game you don't need high frame rate, but I mean, it is nice to have. There we have a warning low video memory. We're supposed to only have like 3.1 gigabytes available, but yeah, it's doing it well. It's running, and the GPU utilization there is sitting at 99%, pretty much just staying there. CPU is up in the 90%, 80% as well. GPU temperature is around 84, 85 degrees Celsius. So yeah, it's definitely getting a little toasty, but I mean that's pretty normal for a gaming laptop. It's being fed like 57 watts right now, looks like it says. So yeah, this thing is performing really well with these settings. So what good are playing video games and watching YouTube videos and things like that if the speakers aren't good, and these speakers aren't good? Should you purchase the Lenovo Ideapad Gaming 3? Well, that entirely depends. While it seems like for $800 you're getting a lot of value for your money, you're getting an RTX 3050, you're getting a decent Intel CPU, and an NVMe SSD, you're getting a nice display, you're getting a nice keyboard, a decent trackpad, and things like that. But there are definitely compromises here. One is build quality. Obviously, the whole thing is made out of plastic, which is to be expected for a budget laptop. They're obviously not going to build this out of CNC machined aluminum or something like that. You don't have a great battery and not great speakers. So if those are important to you, I would avoid this laptop personally. But if all you're trying to do is game on a budget, this thing's pretty solid. That being said, make sure to leave room in your budget for upgrades. Stock, this thing has a single 8 gig stick of RAM, and that cuts your performance literally in half. So I highly recommend at least doing 16 gigabytes of dual channel. If you want to upgrade your storage as well, you're going to have to leave room in your budget for that, because this thing, obviously stock, is only 500 gigabytes of storage, so not too great there. That being said, if you don't care about battery life, if you're going to stay plugged in, if you have a nice set of speakers or headphones and things like that, this is a great laptop. It performs well on a budget, and it feels overall pretty nice for being a plastic, chassis and everything like that. Keyboard feels nice, trackpad feels nice. All the things that you interact with are good for the most part. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.